Hello, hello, this is Christina Barr, and you're watching Black Tea News. Hello, welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, who appears to be gaslighting everyone. There's a viral clip going around as if he's like downplaying the effects of, the lockdowns or his role in forcing people to get vaccinated and so on in Canada. So people are like, are you forgetting that you heavily coerced people into it and had and it seemed like, at least from the stories as I was following it, that Canada had a pretty high voluntary sort of rate of people deciding. So even like the passports and things that they implemented at particular times seemed so heavy-handed that it was just crazy. So to kind of, I don't know, walk it back as if the trucker thing didn't happen and you didn't like freeze people's bank accounts. People aren't gonna forget all that stuff, at least not immediately. I mean, people do forget a lot of things, unfortunately, and not everyone pays for their sort of crimes. But people aren't forgetting right now, at least. So I'm grateful for that. Also, we'll be talking about this video. I already did a short on it, but it was the original video that I replied to about this trans woman explaining why, he was a woman or whatever, or what womanhood is like. And I could only get a couple of points, so I wanted to go through the whole video today because I just think there's so many things that people say that makes a woman, but they want to use everything except biology. And it's telling, but it's also ridiculous, and so we'll be going through that. I wanted to go through the little. Did you guys know, like with the live action Little Mermaid film, that I guess I knew that there was a story that they were changing a song, and I just didn't think about what song it would be. But apparently Disney is changing the lyrics to Poor Unfortunate Souls and Kiss the Girl. I'm not going to get into it today. Maybe I'll just do a short about it, but I don't know. I think I probably have more to say than what's going to fit into 60 seconds. But again, I'm not going to see the film, but I'm like, that's really crazy to me, because they want to include more like consent stuff, I guess. But Ariel was on a mission. Like, she was the one like hunting him down, like for her like lip prey, So them like singing a song trying to throw like subliminal messages to Eric to kiss this girl. He didn't know that he was looking for Ariel. He was like fascinated with another girl. He wasn't aware that was the same person that he was looking for. He's like, oh, you're the girl, and then she couldn't talk, and he's like, oh, it's not her. So he's like in love with this idea of this other woman, and Ariel and them was like, now we got to make him know that it's you and fall in love with you. So and she's all inching in and stuff, so to take that song and feel like they have to like to make it modern, and now by taking I don't know, changing the lyrics and making it so not fun. I don't know what it will be, but gosh, this world is just stupid. Disney is so dumb with their properties. Like they just hate everything that they've made and resent it so much and want to change so much that it's just really, really wild to me. Also, it is official that Biden is running in 2024, so it is now official. We'll see if people still decide to jump in or not jump in. There's already, people talking about it, or people who have announced on the Democrat side as well. So that'll be interesting. And also Trump complaining today about the RNC and the presidential primary debates. And so we'll see I wonder if he'll even play ball, like to actually show up at a debate. So that's something that I haven't really thought about going into this primary election, but there was several debates that he just decided that he's going to stop going to, and it's not like he really needs to show up. So you let me know in the comments if you would care if he shows up for a debate or not. But there's a possibility that he won't. There's a possibility that he won't. So before we jump in everything, please go to blacktnews.com, or at least remember at some point to go to blacktnews.com. Check out different articles that I have, different videos, etc. When we get to the trans woman thing, you guys could definitely check out my article about why cis is a slur. It's got a lot of really good points in there. I thank you guys for all the compliments and stuff that people commented and sent, especially because I shared it on YouTube as well, and a lot of people comment on YouTube under it too, under the post. So please share that around, and stick up for womanhood, and that we are different than men, and men and women are different, and that's okay. There's no shame in being what you are, and there's no shame in not being what you aren't. So it's a line from the article, so make sure that you go ahead and read that stuff and other things at blacktnews.com. Check out different merchandise that we have, like black tea mugs, My Money, My Business, since we're getting into some Canadian stuff today. There's a cool shirt with the Free Canada, kind of like the Catching Fire logo, but I made it with the leaf there, so go ahead and check that out. That took a minute to make, so go ahead and buy it. Also, let me show this one, because this one is people really like this one, especially the picture when I'm wearing the shirt, but the I am not the victim you're looking for. That is available at blacktnews.com if you'd like to pick that up. It is a cool shirt. I'm glad you guys really dig it. So you guys can pick that up. Also, of course, God is Blatantly Against Abortion is available. So the paperback is actually available right now, and so you guys can go ahead and pick that up on Amazon. The link is live. Also, there was an issue with Amazon. My past few days have been like crazy. So the link or whatever for the pre-order had to be canceled and stuff. So you probably got an email if you had pre-ordered it that it was canceled. The book isn't canceled or whatever. It's now out. But actually the ebook is available too. I had already messaged somebody and stuff, and that got one and stuff. But I can't find everybody who was pre-ordering. I was just kind of following people who said they were gonna get one online. But FYI, it's live. You can't actually get it right now. I'm gonna break it down and go through it more tomorrow. So if you're interested and want to learn more, I will focus heavily on it tomorrow. As that was my official day that it was going to be released, but it's actually you can go get it right now. So very excited about it. So go pick up the book. Of course, God's Blatantly Against Abortion on Amazon. Okay, and if you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate. Cost stream, cost for my website, all that good stuff. So if you can't support, God, the Bible says you have not because he has not. So I am asking if you would like to help with that overhead. God bless you. If you're watching on Facebook, you can send stars. If you're watching on YouTube, you can send super chats and etc. But you can just go to the website and give that way. So I do not have a meme for you guys today. I'm going to just go ahead and jump into the Trudeau story. So it's funny, at least to me, because a couple days ago, there is a video that's going around, it's viral, of this guy who's pro-life. Some people on the right are suspecting that it's a troll, it was kind of like a setup, and the guy questioning Justin Trudeau isn't actually conservative. First of all, his abortion, he's arguing against abortion, but his opinion is so bad, and I'm not saying that pro-life people don't have bad arguments, but I don't know, it just kind of looks like a setup to just make Justin own. So and how someone would parody someone who's pro-life, but there are pro-life people with really bad arguments, so it's not impossible that this is totally organic, but I don't know. So I'm going to show you a little bit of that exchange, because it prompted a conversation that's going to lead into this whole lockdown scenario stuff. So this is the video, and I had commented on Twitter, and I started getting reactions from it based on my comment. So I'll play a little bit and we'll go from there.
I think.
But okay. Do you think that women should have the right to choose what happens to their own bodies?
Personally, no.
No, you think you should be able to choose what happens to a woman's body?
Well, I think if they're sleeping around, they shouldn't be allowed to abort the baby. Personally.
So, do you think a woman should be able to choose what they do with their own bodies? That's what Trudeau said in a retaliation to this young kid. And it's funny that everyone says that, like that's the go-to line. However, nobody, like literally, I won't say nobody, that's an exaggeration, but most people don't really believe that. Most people don't believe that. And how can you say that, Christine? Do you believe a pregnant woman should be allowed to take fentanyl? Do you think that is her right to do whatever she pleases as she wants, you know, while prostituting herself? Like, you don't believe that. You think there's limitations on bodily autonomy. And so this exchange, I'm not even gonna play the whole exchange because this kid is like, again, I don't know if he's a plant. I don't know if he's just really incompetent, but he doesn't argue the points well. And so Justin like goes into sexual assault, and so he tries to mention like that's only like, and maybe he's a real person, I don't know, but he mentions that like 95% of, you know, induced abortions are, you know, have nothing to do with SA. And I'm trying not to get flagged or keep it monetized. I'm trying to avoid the word, if you know what I'm trying to say. But and Justin's like, no, we're gonna stay on that topic. We're gonna stay on that topic. So so it's really like, I don't know all Canada's numbers, but it's usually like less than 1%, at least from like the U.S. and stuff perspective. So he tries to stay on that fringe case or whatever because, you know, it makes people uncomfortable to talk about the exceptions as we say, I guess. But I didn't retweet this. I commented on the main post. They're like, oh, Justin is owning this person on abortion. And I'm like, okay, here. He doesn't care about a woman's bodily autonomy. And that's very clear from how he acted during the whole pandemic. It's very clear that he doesn't care about bodily autonomy. So then a couple people, started replying to me. I'm like, it's not the same. And I'm like, I know it's not the same because there's a difference between deliberately ending someone's life versus you catching a disease and you getting sick or spreading it or dying. That's very different. And then I retweeted one person who's coming at me, and I'm like, question, what's more deadly to children? Is it abortion or is it COVID? And I said, which one is homicide? Is it abortion or is it COVID? And they're like, it's not murder. And I didn't use the word murder, though, you know, I would actually, you know, I do think it is. But I just said homicide. So then they just flipped it. Like, it is a deliberate killing, especially if it's an induced one. So they just bowed out of the conversation. But so it's amazing that so many, like, bodily autonomy just got thrown out of the window. So when people bring up bodily autonomy, I'm like, y'all don't really believe that. Now, God bless you if you're consistent, you know, but a lot of people weren't. A lot of people aren't. And people got so mad if you weren't, you know, if you didn't get the jab. They treated you like you were, I don't know, you're like you were an evil alien or something that needs to be eradicated from existence, like you're some kind of xenomorph or something. They just did not treat you well. So in Canada, Justin Trudeau did not treat his people well. So there's a video going around right now where it seems like he's rewriting history a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this video. Like I said, this one is making the rounds, and for good reason.
Information and disinformation is carrying people to believe things that are untrue. And vaccinations is a perfect example of it. Like any modern bit of medical advancements, there are potential side effects in vaccinations. And they're are people who've probably gotten very sick from vaccinations, on the billions of people who've been vaccinated against COVID over the past few years. There are far more people who obviously have died due to COVID, died from not getting vaccinated.
Okay, so I just want to chime in right here and ask the question, how many were like from COVID, or how many were with COVID? If you used to mention those things, people would be very upset if you wanted to make, have that difference of how many people, died of other things, but they happen to have COVID in their system, or how many people died, I guess maybe from COVID, but they had comorbidities, and how many people, what's the difference? If people that would really, really conflate them, and eventually when people wanted to kind of get their numbers more down, they're like, well, it's get more back to normal life sometime way within the pandemic, or maybe afterward, people are like, oh, maybe we should kind of reconsider how we look at these numbers. So we can ask that question, like how many died with COVID, or how many died from COVID. And yes, there are a lot of people who got the jab and were injured from it. There are people who have died. There was one heartbreaking video where a father testified about his son, who was a teenager, and he said he was his best friend, and they said it would be fine, and he took it and he passed away. And I know someone who had a heart attack. I know I heard a story about someone who lost their leg after having it, because they got like a clot, and they ended up needing to take the leg. So where there is risk, where there's risk, people do like to have a choice. And people are trying to say, well, no one was forced. No one was forced. People were super coerced into it. People were very, very coerced into complying. And we can't just forget about that. I mean, I never did, but there's people who were definitely coerced. And there are a lot of people in Canada who seem like, to volunteer, for it. But even they started doing passports in places, and I'm looking, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but I've covered it at the time, and looking at places like Quebec and other places, I'm like, they have a really high rate of vaccination already. So why are they doing this? Why are they doing the enforcements with the jab, and making it so that you have to have the passports, etc., and they're really doubling down on people? Because at this point, and it was pretty, I don't know, deep into it, I'm like, a lot of people should have some sort of natural immunity anyway. So other than enforcing control, but I have a mutual friend that I follow on TikTok, and he's a Canadian gay conservative, and his story, I think he first popped up in my feed and stuff. We started following each other during the pandemic kind of stuff, but he was really sick from the jab, and he knew that he'd be allergic to everything in it, and he wanted some kind of exemption, but his doctor went ahead and tested him, and just about everything that was in it he had an allergic reaction to. And so he's like, okay, you're going to write me a pass or something? I'm like, oh no, we're not doing that. So doctors felt very pressured to not give people exemptions either. That's another thing at play. Oh, you can just get an exemption and live your life. Doctors did not want to do that. Doctors felt like they could not do that. So he had a choice between take this thing that could literally kill me, or lose my job. And so that was something he really struggled with, and I followed him as he struggled with making that decision. And so what him and his doctor decided that they had to do, because the doctor wouldn't write him a pass or whatever, his doctor gave it to him, the jab, while having an IV drip for him. So doing an IV drip or whatever for him, and giving it to him slowly while I don't know, giving him the antibiotics or whatever else he needed for his allergic reactions. So all that for the jab, even though people some people who were infected never presented any sort of illness to it at all, that even though if you were jabbed, you could still spread the virus. So, and after that became apparent that even if you were jabbed, that you could still spread it, it, to me, that's when, like, the moral high ground was really, the idea of people having the moral high ground was just, like, thrown out the window for all this stuff. So they really, really, really forced people to get it. And you could say, well, they didn't force. Why? Because they didn't hold you down and jab a needle into your butt or your arm or whatever? Is that your standard? Is that your standard of care? Okay, let's finish this clip out.
And the idea that people can fly in the face of science, well, individuals are allowed to make their own choices. There may be all sorts of different reasons why someone is hesitant to get vaccinated. But I make a distinction, and I always have, between someone choosing for personal reasons to choose not to get vaccinated and someone deliberately using misinformation to mislead and scare other people with so-called facts that aren't facts at all, that lead them to make a choice that endangers their lives and the lives of other citizens. So as Prime Minister, through the greatest public health crisis that we've faced in 100 years in this country, since the Spanish flu, my responsibility was to keep as many Canadians alive as possible. And all of the scientists and the medical experts and the researchers, not just in Canada, but around the world, understood that vaccination was going to be the way through this. And therefore, while not forcing anyone to get vaccinated, I chose to make sure that all the incentives and all the protections were there to encourage Canadians to get vaccinated. And that's exactly what they did. We got vaccinated to a higher level than just about any other of our peer countries. And that's why we had a less deadly pandemic than most other countries.
So, again, like, they did have a high, at least as far as what I'm following, and like, they had a pretty high voluntary rate. So why all the aggression? They still had a lot of aggression even after, like, a large percentage of the population was already, jabbed. And between that and people getting it naturally, I'm like, when is herd immunity going to kick in here? And why are you still coming down so hard on people for this? So, him pretending like people could just make their own decision is nuts. That's not what happened. Evangeline Lilly, she's an actress. She was on Lost. That's where, most people probably know her from. But right now she played the Wasp on, Ant-Man and the Wasp and stuff for the Marvel movies and stuff. So she's Canadian. And so she actually went to, after last year, after the March for Life and stuff, they had a march for your rights as far as, like, not getting jabbed, or I don't remember exactly what they called it, but she was there. And I guess I went back home. I kind of wish I had gone to that one, but she was there, and she wrote, like, a post about how we shouldn't be coercing anyone. She did a really good video, and I did a video, like, of her speaking, and showed a bunch of clips and stuff. I have it somewhere on my YouTube and on my TikTok, on different places if anyone wants to go and look those up. But this is her post from, back in the day. Let me get rid of my little logo so I can read that. Well, I don't think it's actually covering it. I was in D.C. this weekend to support bodily sovereignty while Canadian truckers were rallying for their cross-country peaceful convoy in support of the same thing. I believe nobody should ever be forced to inject their body with anything against their will under threat of violent attack, arrest, or detention without trial, loss of employment, homelessness, starvation, loss of education, alienation from loved ones, excommunication from society, under any threat whatsoever. This is not the way. This is not safe. This is not healthy. This is not love. I understand the world is in fear, but I don't believe that answering fear with force will fix our problems. I was pro-choice before COVID, and I am still pro-choice today. So she's exercising. I haven't really heard her talk about abortion or anything like that, but she is saying that she's pro-choice, and she's pro-choice for bodily autonomy and freedom and body sovereignty. Now, again, most people don't actually have a solid, full authority. People can do anything what they want with their body. They have limits on, sexual things, or they'll have limits on how they can solicit their body for those kind of things, or drugs that they can take, or when you're using force against someone else. And that's really what the conversation about abortion really is, because it's not just your body, it's you using mostly outside resources, right, to get rid of the body inside of your body. But she's saying she's pro-choice. So these people who are body, sovereignty people who claim to about that particular topic, they're not consistent, and they didn't carry that over with the pandemic. And people say it's different. Yes, it's different, but I don't think it's different in the way that you think it is. To be positive on your side, we're talking about going out of your way to take somebody out versus you might catch it from me and you might get sick. Very unlikely. It just depends what your age is, what kind of comorbidities and stuff that you have, etc. But we spread all kinds of fear and did all kinds of horrible things. I mean, you can't pretend like you weren't forcing people to do something when you were freezing the truckers' bank accounts who were peacefully protesting. Now, they were causing a disturbance. I mean, that was the point. But he supported other kind of protests when a lot of people supported BLM protests and stuff when our world was freaking on fire. But it's all sound the alarm. Let's do tyrannical stuff when people are protesting or driving in trucks and stuff. So here's him talking about getting your children. As soon as they're 5, get them vaxxed, guys.
You're going to be able to get your vaccine as soon as you turn 5. And I know you're excited, and I know you're eager. In some places across the country, you can even start making your appointment now for shortly after your birthday.
Shortly after your birthday. So what really bothered me about the push so much for the kids, and your kids are killing the grandma, your kids are in danger, get vaxxed because it's not available yet for your kids, and you could be potentially killing the kids. If the numbers for the kids just weren't there. It just was not I'm not saying that it wasn't a total danger or anything to kids, but it just, I mean, they're more likely to die of suffocation, and all sorts of other childhood things or things that are typically automobile accidents, other stuff like that. It's just wasn't a high concern, but they made you feel like it was a high concern, and they masked your kids. They masked your kids longer than they masked you. I mean, I don't know if that was so in Canada, but America wasn't consistent with that at all. A lot of people have seen that mask, the picture with Stacey Abrams. She's in a classroom and all the kids are masked and she's not. And she definitely has comorbidity because she's a big gal, right? And she's how old is she? She's in her 40s or something, maybe 50s, or I don't remember how old she is, but she's got comorbidities herself, but the kids are masked, but she's not masked. So apparently all these people really pushing it go back to California. Had Newsom, who went out to eat with his friends, and at a time where restaurants and stuff are closed down, and there's all these rules and stuff, and it's I get to do what I want, but you peasants have to do what I say. Same thing with Lori Lightfoot, same thing Gretchen Whitmer. All over the place you had these people who just did not live up to the standards that they enforce on other people. So people were just power hungry, very, very power hungry. Here's some more clips of Justin Trudeau during that time.
Chrystia has outlined what the mandatory vaccination that's in place immediately for federal employees will look like. The bottom line, Proof of vaccination will be required by no later than the end of this month for all federal employees. And by mid-November, enforcement measures in place will make sure that everyone is vaccinated. This is about keeping people safe on the job and in their communities. And the same goes for the second commitment we made, mandatory vaccination on travel. By the end of October, everyone 12 or older on a plane or train within Canada should be fully vaccinated. But by the end of November, if you're 12 or older and want to fly or take the train, you'll have to be fully vaccinated, as will staff. Testing will no longer be an option before boarding. Done the right thing and gotten vaccinated, you deserve the freedom to be safe from COVID-19, to have your kids safe from COVID, to get back to the things you love. And if you haven't gotten your shots yet but want to travel this winter, let's be clear. There will only be a few extremely narrow exceptions, like a valid medical condition. For the vast majority of people, the rules are very simple. To travel, you've got to be vaccinated. These travel measures, along with mandatory vaccination for federal employees, are some of the strongest in the world. Because when it comes to keeping you and your family safe, when it comes to avoiding lockdowns for everyone, this is no time for half measures. Already, we're delivering on the first of our vaccine commitments, and in the weeks to come, we'll get the job done on a vaccine passport for international travel. We'll be there to foot the bill for provinces and territories that roll out proof of vaccination programs, and we'll introduce legislation to make it a criminal offense to threaten or harass healthcare workers.
So, you guys did hear him say mandatory, right? And if you're going to travel, you have to get it. You have to do testing. And they said if you did the right thing and you got the jab, then you deserve to be safe. So we got to make sure that everyone else gets it. So the question is, what did it do for you if it didn't make you safe? That was the whole point, right? Everybody getting it. If you get it, then you're safe, right? Because if you get it, you can still spread it. And I know people act like that was something we learned like way off or just recently, but that's not even true. Like really early on, I swear to you, there were articles, it was either like the Washington Post or New York Times or something I was reading, and I shared it somewhere in my social media. I'm like, what the heck? Like, so you can still spread it? Like, if you get the, I'm like, so I'm like, there's no like high ground here. There's no high ground here as far as like the attitude of, you know, just do it for your neighbor. I'm like, but even if you get it, you're not really, you can't guarantee you're not going to get your neighbor sick, and you can't even guarantee that you're not going to get it. Maybe it's going to keep you from getting it really bad, but how do you know? How do you know? So, again, they coerce people into it. So this idea that, you know, you just had incentives and people did whatever, as opposed to you making people's lives miserable until you broke their spirit and their will. Come on, bro.
This government has been focused every step of the way on following the best science, following the best public health advice to keep as many people safe as possible. And quite frankly, it's worked. We've seen the curves lower in Canada than elsewhere. We've seen lower death rates. We've seen quicker economic recovery because Canadians stepped up, because Canadians got vaccinated. And I can understand frustrations with mandates, but mandates are the way to avoid further restrictions or having to be restricted. As people get vaccinated, as Canadians have gotten vaccinated, we've been able to get through things. And this team is going to stay focused on doing exactly that.
Est-ce qu'il pourra rester dans votre caucus si vous accuse d'avoir politisé la vaccination?
Yeah, so he was gung ho about it, making everybody else do it. So this, don't forget, if you're in Canada, don't forget. Don't forget what happened. Don't forget reality. They're trying to, certainly. Before I move on, I do want to say yesterday it was mentioned, or we did talk about it for quite a while, that Tucker Carlson left Fox News, And they said they parted ways, but it looks like they did fire him, and Tucker had no idea that this was coming at all in the least bit. Like I mentioned yesterday, he already had his last show. There's no like, saying goodbye to Tucker series or something like that. Nothing like that at all. Like his last program last Friday was like, we'll see you again next week. So was not expecting it. There's all kind of speculation for why it happened. People think it's the Dominion lawsuit or other lawsuits that are coming down, upcoming, or some people think it's trouble with Bill O'Reilly mentioned a couple lawsuits that are on the way or could be coming, but he also mentioned a special on Ray Epps, which you talked about that a little bit yesterday, that was on 60 Minutes, and Ray Epps actually talked about Tucker Carlson, how he ruined his life. So if there's a possible maybe lawsuit coming that way or something, some kind of retaliation from him, if that's going to hit Fox. So Fox is like, they had to pay that huge payout of $800 million to Dominion, which is crazy when you think about how much. That's way more than the company is worth. So that just bananas. Imagine what they'll be able to do because with all that Fox News money. They just lost their biggest talent, and maybe, I guess, he'll be replaced or whatever, but he's been like their most popular person, and so I don't. They're hurt for a while. If I was CNN, they lost Don Lemon too. They didn't lose Don Lemon, they fired him, but which I wasn't surprised. We weren't surprised here that Don Lemon was fired. If I was CNN, I would try to pick up Tucker. I don't know if you guys would watch Tucker if he was on CNN. Maybe a lot of people wouldn't want to. But if he still had like a similar sort of editorial power, I don't know what kind of editorial power that Fox or whatever deals made with them. But if he could still have a similar kind of show to what he has, and they just wrote him a big check, and people are just like, oh, that's just the Tucker Hour. That would be probably amazing for them, because they are trying to make themselves seem, they've purged some people who have damaged CNN's credibility. They want to look like a more serious news station again, and not just like a Trump-hating January 6th conspiratory kind of place. And so there are some kind of journalists that were at Fox and other places where you're like, they're obviously they have a bias, but they're pretty much on the money. Tucker is he has good questions, and he's very talented at what he does, but he's definitely very opinionated in what he does. So I wouldn't put him as like one of those here's the facts just kind of person that you're kind of looking for objective sort of news. And I'm not saying that Tucker's, well, I don't think Tucker's always right or whatever, but hopefully you guys get what I'm trying to say. He's not like the straight as an arrow kind of maybe look that they're trying to go for. However, if you just are just like, that's just the Tucker Hour, and then they pull over more people who are on the right, and then it becomes like a lot of people, as far as like between CNN and Fox and people who watch who are across the board, more people, there's more diversity in the actual Fox News like category of people who watch, reportedly anyway. So if CNN wants to be more neutral, then they need an expansion of their audience. So I don't know if they're willing to write that kind of check. I don't even know if they'd be willing to do it because it's Tucker and how many other people would flip out about it. But I think that would be a really good move for them. Like, people are like, Tucker can do things on his own. He can, and he could start his own site, have his own app, do his own like podcast and etc. Blah blah blah. But internet and all this stuff, it's just really has exploded. Podcasts are a good way to go, etc. But cable news isn't totally dead. And CNN, Tucker had crazy ratings. If I were CNN, I would make that phone call. I would make that phone call. I don't know what he would do. I don't know if he'd be open to that. And I'm not saying he should. I'm just saying I think that would be a good move for them. That'd be a really good move for them, in my opinion, because that would definitely become their highest rated show. Now, I don't know how many of their audience would be like, I'm not watching CNN because Tucker is here. But I don't know. People might get over it. but the people would also follow to that network. So a lot of these places are doing a lot of restructuring. There's a lot of big shakeups. BuzzFeed News shut down. The CEO of NBC Universal, I think, just went down in a scandal. I think it was NBC Universal. There was Don Lemon got canned. Dan Bongino left Fox News as well. But I think he just basically had a Saturday show, but he's not associated with them anymore either. But he says like they left on good terms. There's no conspiracy, whatever. I don't know. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. And another thing I want to mention, there was a story like Steven Crowder was trending yesterday a lot on Twitter, and it was in relation to him getting a divorce, and people didn't know if it were true or not. There was these like court proceeding things that people were posting on the internet. So Steven actually addressed it today, that he and his wife, I believe, are I guess still maybe going through it, maybe, but it's been going on a while. He called out Candace Owens. He said there were some people who knew it and kept it private, and there were some people who knew and extorted him. And so he showed a clip of Candace Owens, and this is like during their beef with the Stop Big Con and him going after Daily Wire, and Candace Owens, he thought she interjected, but I understood her getting involved because it is her business, she's signed under them, and to make it seem like they're, under the arm of big tech or whatever, that puts all of their integrity and stuff on the line. So I think it was appropriate for her to speak out or whatever, but when she went on Timcast and other stuff. But eventually she was like, I've learned some things about Steven Crowder, and I think we should pray for him. But she let it hang out in the air that she did know something. And she's like, well, if I think it's like worth the public knowing or not knowing or whatever. So she kind of had it dangling in the air, like she might say something about it. And Steven still decided not to like say anything about it. But it is a private thing, it's really sucks. He said that his wife is the one who initiated it, who wanted it, and he doesn't want to get divorced. And it really sucks. And they have 2 kids. They have twins, who aren't that old. So, if he wanted to keep it super private now, you probably shouldn't have called out Candace. And Candace tweeted about it. She said it was, him coming at that angle was bizarre and crazy or whatever. But I would not be surprised if she addressed it. And I don't know how much they're going to have it really escalate. She probably should have just like fessed up to it and asked everyone for their privacy instead of being like throat punch trying to go at Candace, because she just escalates, and I don't know that she knows how to apologize. She's in the wrong anyway. So he probably should have left that as is. But yeah, if you're a fan of Steven and stuff, I just wanted to put that out there, that context, and say that rumor going around is actually true. I know we say spill the tea and other things like that, but I'm not big on gossip so much. But it is a thing he confirmed, so just wanted to say that's really, really awful, and definitely not what I think should. I don't know all the details or whatever led his wife to make that decision, but they do have 2 young children, so that's rough. That's rough. So. The advice that Candace gave before, pray for them. Okay, so Joe Biden did make it official that he is running for president, and for 2024. The reactions on Facebook were so funny from people. Let me see if I can find them really quick to read a couple. People were wilding out in my comments. I posted. Oh, sorry. As the reel started playing. Okay, so I had said it's official. Joe Biden is in the running again. And they said where? He couldn't even walk properly. Dude can't even walk. I doubt he's running anywhere. Running from what? Does he know that? Someone said thanks, need a good laugh today. What a joke. If people vote for this idiot, I will really believe it's over for us. A lot of people saying, does he know he's running? Someone said running his mouth. for dog catcher, you mean, or running from reality, from the law. He's stumbling again. Running for prosecution. So a lot of comments like that. However, there were some people like, oh yeah, slam dunk. And I mentioned this yesterday. If people just think that just because it's a rematch between Biden and Trump again, that people are going to be like, oh, I made a terrible mistake. Gosh, I wish I had as much faith in humanity as you guys seem to have. I think it's very hard for people to admit that they are wrong, and people can get used to bad situations. They really, really can. They can get used to having less. They can get used to struggling, especially because they didn't appreciate the good times that they had under like the Trump administration, or people, experience life differently anyway. But there was a poll that New York Times did for like the tax breaks, and they admitted like, yeah, most people got like some kind of tax cut, like with the Trump plan and stuff. But then they also like polled like people who thought they did and didn't. Most people seem to not realize that they got the benefit. So, what do you do there when it's like, yeah, you have things were pretty good under a different administration, but people don't want to give like the due, that Trump is deserved, or the policies that were deserved, etc. And some of them were just like, well, no, it was all that Obama stuff kicking in, or now the thing is like, oh, things are so bad, and now Joe Biden took over, and now we have the highest job growth. And I'm like, after you forced people to not work, and people went back to work and just got their jobs back, or maybe their jobs were destroyed, so they got different jobs, and now you're like, oh my gosh, look at this economic recovery. You guys are so dishonest. I'm like, and every time I see like stuff like that, I'm like, it's very obvious that the goal was to break the country for this talking point. It's just disgusting. I mean, there are people who are literally hoping for some kind of recession because they kept waiting and waiting and waiting. But the economy was great, and then COVID happened, and then 15 days of slow spread was the beginning of the end of Trump's presidency, unfortunately. So if you are hoping that people are like, oh gosh, I made a really, 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 really terrible mistake, I just don't think that so many people are going to be gung-ho to be like, let me correct it by voting for Trump now. I don't think that's the case, and I'm still very concerned about the attitude that independents have for Trump, because they still don't like him, and like right, left, or people are pretty much on the side that they're on, and then there's people in the middle, and the people in the middle don't. I'm not saying they like Biden, but they don't like Trump. So the question is, how do you change that perception? It's still a long time to the election, but you know what? I don't know. I think there's so many like cogs in the wheel that I'd be very surprised if like people think that Trump is inevitable. I think beyond DeSantis himself, maybe he's an obstacle, or maybe he's not. But I think there's so many other like powers that be, and levers of power and stuff that will want some kind of retribution or whatever, and just not have Trump be the president. So I don't think he's gonna. It's early, and he's like really the only one in the race, really, besides like Nikki Haley. But and like, is Pence announced? I know he's in, but I don't, I can't remember if he announced. But I mean, so let's say those folks are in the race. Trump is like big dog. People expect that DeSantis will jump in. I'm hearing, him going around asking for different endorsements or lining that kind of stuff up. He hasn't officially announced. If he is, he's gonna do it soon. But I just don't think it's. A lot of things can change. I was thinking about the Fox lawsuit with Dominion, and how the election, the stuff that people were saying behind the scenes about Trump, and what people were saying about the lawsuit, and Fox News having to settle this huge ridiculous number. We talked a lot how Trump has made a lot of people money. This is a pretty big bill. I think a lot of powers that be are and be like, I don't know if this is a tab we can pick up again. So I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be a very interesting game. But one thing that was also interesting on the Republican front today is that Donald Trump tweeted out about the debates. Someone in my comments already said they didn't think that Trump should participate at all. I guess he doesn't have to. That's his prerogative. I think I think he probably needs some practice. But this is his tweet. Not tweet, but he put on his site. I see that everybody is talking about the Republican debates, but nobody got my approval or the approval of the Trump campaign before announcing them. When you're leading by singly insurmountable numbers and you have hostile networks with angry Trump and MAGA hating anchors asking the questions, why subject yourself to being libeled and abused? Also, the second debate is being held at the Reagan Library, the chairman of which is amazingly Fred Ryan, publisher of the Washington Post. No. So what does that mean? Like, so there's going to be lots of people in the race who aren't in the race yet. It would be weird if they were just like, Trump, like, tell us everything you need for the debate. Like, they have to have their own independence and just kind of not be his show. He's not the president. He's not the incumbent. You know, he's coming in back into like an open field. Like, I know it doesn't really feel like that because so many people feel like it's his turn. He was cheated. But it is an open field. There's going to be a lot of people that I don't know. I hope if it's a lot of people going in, then he will have the most chance of victory. Because he didn't win by a majority before. He won with like a plurality, right? So the more people who are in, the better his chances are. If he can go toe to toe with like a person or two or whatever, then the coalition will come around, you know, that person to stop him. So as far as the debate goes, some people are like, I saw in the comments on like Twitter and stuff, they're saying, oh, but why should he have to subject himself to that? Because they're really mean. Megyn Kelly and all these folks were really mean to Brett Baer during the debates and Fox. And I'm like, hold on a second. Like, I know that that's how people feel, but they were mean to like everybody. They really were. I felt like they asked some spicy questions. They did, but I don't think that they were like totally out of pocket referring to Trump. However, like, eventually Trump was like, I'm not doing him anymore. But one time I was watching debate and man, somebody said something to Rand Paul that was so rude. And it was along the lines, and I'm paraphrasing, it was along the lines of, hey, Rand Paul, how do you feel about you not living up to your dad's legacy, but instead it's Ted Cruz's now? And I'm like, that was like the rudest thing I've ever seen. Like, why gotta bring the man's dad into this? I'm like, that was so rude. They asked rude questions with everybody. I'm like, they were not especially rude to Trump. I don't think so. Because what they said to Rand Paul was messed up, man. I'm like, what the? I'm like, kick him in the nuts, why don't you? That was really not appropriate, I thought. I was like, let's just punch him in the throat. What's the question that'll punch him right in the throat? So, but Trump obviously didn't need to. They had a lot of primaries. They don't need to have as many as they did last time. But now there's people who feel that they don't need to debate. I mean, Katie Hobbs, you know, didn't debate at all, and she's sitting in the governor's office, governor's mansion and stuff. So Trump, who knows if he will show up for the debate? I mean, he feels like he is the president. You know, he's not sitting in the office, but. And everybody else running is disrespectful. So he's like saying, why would I show up on stage to do all these things? Now, I don't think it would hurt to get back in the game and face an opponent and have some practice there. Just to be frank, Trump always had moments at the debates, but I never really felt like among like all the Republican competitors that, and I know polling said different, like there are people who thought, oh, Trump won that night. I never really was like, I thought Trump really took that night. The first one that I thought he like really handedly won was maybe that second debate he had with Hillary Clinton, the second and third debate he had with her. The first one was like, first 15 minutes were great, and then it was a crash and burn. And then she obviously played it like that Machado woman like thing at the end. Obviously had that set up. But the second debate, Trump was like, as soon as they dropped that Hollywood Access tape, it was a whole different animal. And I didn't like all his some people are like, when I complain about how he attacks DeSantis and other people, they're like, oh, Trump has always been this way. That doesn't mean I always liked it the whole entire time. That didn't mean I liked it the whole entire time, because I didn't. There were answers he had at the debate or whatever that I was like, oh gosh. I'm like, why say it like that? Why not say something different? And then I'm like, why? I'm like, do you want this, or is it just because, I still have a theory that if they didn't cancel Apprentice, he would have never been president. But they did, and the rest is history. So there are times I was really frustrated with him. But what really like got me in the zone of like, this man wants it, he's gonna take it, is that there's just like something about like, he's gonna really, really fight to get this victory, and I want to win. I really want to win, and he's a scrapper, and he's going to fight for it. And like he kept saying, like, Mitt Romney's a choker. I didn't want a choker. I wanted someone who was going to, get it, not necessarily get in the mud or whatever, but like, knuckle to knuckle brawl. I'm going to fight to the finish. And I felt like he was that guy, So that's what pushed over the edge. But if other people can make you feel that way, then he's not the only one who has that appeal. Maybe you feel like he's the only one who will fight like that, but I don't think he's necessarily the only person, at least who's rumored, who has that kind of energy. So I thought he won the two debates with Hillary Clinton. After that Hollywood Access tape dropped, he was on a mission. He was like, he was so focused. And I remember that night before the debate started, because it had dropped, that tape had dropped. I'm like, if he doesn't, his campaign is over if he does not like deliver. I'm like, it's just, the whole thing is done. And then he started off with that press conference with Bill Clinton's accusers, and I'm like, this is it was so, I'm trying to find the right word to say. Gutsy. The gutsy's not a good word for it. It was just so, I'll just say alpha. It was so alpha. It was so alpha. And then he came and just dominated the stage. And then then the third debate was more somber, but he took that debate too. So in my opinion, the Joe Biden debate, the first one, that was rough. That was rough for both of them. But Joe Biden was in the basement, and I thought Trump had more to kind of prove that night, and it was really rough for both of them. So like the anger, Chris Wallace was also not good. He made me upset so many times. That the second debate got canceled, so the last one that they had, I thought Trump. I didn't think they were the moderator got a lot of praise, but I'm like, this is still skewed. But I thought Trump did like win that one, but by then it was so late and so many people had already voted. So I mean, I think it would be good if Trump debated and had the practice went on there and brawled with some people other than on Truth Social, and got somewhere outside of just going to rally and being insulated by people who just really, really love him, or people who feel like they have to say that. So I think it would be good for him, for his people say he has a lot to lose by doing it, but if he doesn't do it, is he missing something fundamentally that's going to prepare him for the next level? I think perhaps. So we'll see. It's a long way out. We got a long way to go before all this happens, but it looks like he doesn't want to debate, at least right now. Looks like he doesn't want to. Okay, so we'll definitely be going over today, but I wanted to talk about this video. So I already did a short video already, so maybe some of you have already seen it, with this particular TikToker. His name is Violet, And who's it? Palumbo? What's his first name? I can't think of his first name. I just did a video with his debate with Michael Knowles. Brad Palumbo. He had tweeted out that it's the conservatives that keep making people like Dylan Mulvaney really famous, because they had like a following or whatever, but us complaining about them and bringing them to the forefront is what's really pushing them. And I don't, there's a balance to that, sure, and maybe that plays a bit. However, I first found out about like Dylan Mulvaney because of the Ulta thing, the Ulta brand thing, and so that made its way on Twitter, and then he interviewed the President Joe Biden. Like, you don't get more mainstream than you're interviewing the President of the United States. So he had like 10 million followers on TikTok. So let's say he never made it into conservative sphere. That doesn't mean that he's not having a big like presence. And shouldn't we know that he's having a big presence and a big influence? And shouldn't we like do something to try to combat that, or debunk him, or like speak to those people or whatever, and try to untangle that and expose the ideology or something? You know, like some commentary is just like complaining, and some is like constructive, and you know, like the article I wrote about the cisgender stuff, or the why cis is a slur. I think that's a very good article with very good points that people can read and continue to break down this stuff. I think Matt Walsh, What is a Woman, really exposed the flimsiness of their arguments, and this video that I'm about to play, I think also will expose the flimsiness of the arguments, because what they say is womanhood is just really, really about stereotypes. it's just aesthetics and stereotypes, and they want to say that how you feel as a woman, and it's just however you feel, and it's a vibe. But there's something bad about associating it with biology. But there's something good about associating womanhood with things that are fleeting and superficial. That's how it is, or at least that's how it's being pitched, and it doesn't make any sense. So this person, I saw them because people in my algorithm who I follow and stuff start doing replies to him, but he actually has over 600,000 followers. So whether we interact and talk about these people in our sphere and put them like in our conservative network and start commentating or not, they're still having a reach. So I still think it's important to talk about. So they got fame anyway. but it's good to mention this stuff, because so many people are in their echo chamber and they just have all this, fame, but they don't have any pushback. Like the people who were on Dr. Phil with Matt Walsh, and he got to ask, like, what is a woman? Like, they were so stunned, didn't know how to answer that question, because they're not being used to being questioned about this stuff. So I think it's important to bring up this stuff, so people who are complaining, like, oh, people on the right, you're just like, that's, so, like, people are doing it for clicks, and some people are, like, doing it for clicks, or maybe not solely for clicks and stuff, but people do recognize that there's a, a viral kind of association with it. There's also like a danger associated with it, like as censorship and stuff ramps up, and like Matt Walsh just got censored like crazy, so he's not even like going to be posting stuff really on YouTube. He's gonna be posting a show on Daily Wire and for free, and on Twitter. But I think it's important to talk about. So anyway, for as long as I can, we're gonna keep talking about this, because I really do believe this ideology is harmful, so harmful for America, that beyond people ruining their bodies, I think it's this ideology is really like cultural Marxism, and I'll get into that more like another day, really go deep into it. But I'm going to go ahead through this video, and I'm going to pause it a lot because I'm going to go through it as I'm going to go through the objections as the video goes on, because there's quite a bit. There's like 10 different things that they mention about womanhood, and They don't make much sense, but that's what they say. So let's see it. Okay. And here is Violet. Again, Violet has over 600,000 followers on TikTok.
Getting dressed up and doing your makeup. You're right, it's a lot of things. It's the grooves in between your fingers from walking home at night clutching your...
You know, I guess I'll probably go ahead and play it and go back. We'll play it once and then I'll pause it, go through it, okay?
Being a woman isn't all getting dressed up and doing your makeup. You're right, it's a lot of things. It's the grooves in between your fingers from walking home at night clutching your keys. It's knowing you can always ask someone for a hair tie and they'll have one on their wrist waiting for you. It's the pure joy of realizing your dress has pockets, even though this one doesn't. It's always going to the bathroom in a pack. It's playing as the female character in video games and still kicking ass. Pulling someone's hair out of the way to zip their dress or clasp their bra. It's never being afraid to use emojis, especially the pink ones. It's knowing how to tie a tie so you can always make sure your date looks handsome. It's all the little razor bumps on your legs and your arms and your face and the bottom of your stomach. It's taking off your shoes halfway through the night. It's creating literal works of art on our nails and our eyelids. It's dropping everything to help each other if we see someone else crying in public. I understand womanhood because I am a woman. And while I didn't have my first period in middle school, you don't have to fold your genitals up and put them inside yourself every day. We all have different experiences of what womanhood is, and it doesn't make any of us any less valid. So stop pretending that trans women don't understand what it's like to be real women. We all go through triumphs and tribulations as women every single day, and tearing each other down is just going to make it harder for all of us in the long run.
So, you know, I think I probably won't replay that because I didn't realize how loud the audio background was, and I don't trying to avoid the copyright, but maybe that was enough. Okay, so we'll just go through the list. Okay, so the first thing was number 1, womanhood is the grooves in your fingers when clutching your keys when you're walking home at night. So I drive basically everywhere. So that's not really like super relevant, but there have been instances though when I have been concerned, you know, about like safety and other stuff like that. So I'm not gonna pretend like that's not a thing, but I feel like that could be true for everyone. But women are at a disadvantage physically compared to like with men. So buy a firearm, like buy a firearm, and to keep yourself safe. Seriously, if you're able to, or get some mace. Make sure that you can take some defense classes and stuff. Don't leave yourself to be a target. There is a difference between men and women, and there's a physical advantage that men just naturally have over women. I'm not saying that every man could whip me. I don't think that's the case. I think if me and Violet tussled, I think I'd probably come out on top. But still, just in general, make sure that you have a way to protect yourself. So 2 is hair ties, having a hair tie on your wrist. If I put a hair tie on my wrist, do you know what will happen? And this is to share later with someone, so you keep a hair tie on your wrist. If I have a hair tie on my wrist, which I would keep a hair tie on my wrist if like my hair is down, and maybe because my hair is different than his hair, maybe I'm out and it's hot and it gets poofy or something, and I would want to put it up in a ponytail or something, that would be for me. It would not be for someone else. Not saying that, you know, dire situation like your hair tie busts or something that maybe I wouldn't share. But the reality is, every time I put a hair tie on my wrist, at some point of time in the day, I will realize that my hair tie is missing. I don't know what happens to them. They're just gone. they're just gone. So if I put a hair tie on my wrist, I will later just have no hair tie. Someone in the comments, because I did mention this on the short, someone was like, my hair ties are for me. They're not for other people. Get your own hair tie. And then I'm like, I definitely don't know about taking hair ties from strangers, because I'm like, what if you don't wash your hair? What if you don't do stuff with your hair? Maybe, what if you have lice or other stuff? Like, I just don't like the idea. I don't know where you've been. I don't know what you do with it. You know, there is no like Supergirl like club where we just like traveling pants with hair ties. That doesn't appear to be like real life. Like maybe Violet does that with his friends and stuff like that, but again, my hair tie, that's not what defines a woman. So number 3 was the excitement when your dress has pockets. So the reason why women are always excited when a dress has pockets, which apparently men who like to wear dresses can obviously be excited about dresses that have pockets, is because so many times our clothes just don't have pockets. When I first got left, like I worked at Target, you know, back in the day, and then I got a job working, you know, doing like sales and stuff at Micro Center, selling computers and stuff. So I started off on the main sales floor, and I was very excited to not be at Target. Really, I had no like skill in sales, but you know, I you know, worked very hard and worked my way up, but it did not come natural at all. So my mom took me to the store, and this was between like, you know, before I got my new paycheck or whatever. So she bought me some pants. And we went to Dots, and I don't think Dots is around. And Dots is not like a high-end store or anything like that. It's like kind of to me it seemed kind of like this. It wasn't like hood or anything, but more like low budget street. Like I don't know if there's a lot of Dots other places, but they're always in urban areas when I saw them. But not hood or anything, but like. It's not a high-end store. So anyway, we went to Dots, and I picked up a couple pairs of pants and stuff. And so when I got to work and they gave me commission stickers, and then they're like, you got, you know, carry around the replacement plans and stuff, so you can pull it out and give it to the customer. I realized in that moment that my pants didn't have pockets. My dress pants didn't have pockets. Like, it's just a design. So the appearance of pockets, but not actual pockets, because they want that slick look on the woman's pants. So yes, when women have things that have pockets, it's like, yes, finally, because all this time we actually needed pockets. So yes, we do like pockets, but again, for men who like to wear dresses, apparently, you know, you're very excited about the pockets as well. It just kind of seems like people like pockets. And that's not just a thing that women like. Like, men wear pants. They're very happy to have. They think it's weird probably if their pants didn't have pockets. So I'm glad that we've turned the page and we're starting to have pockets. Okay. So that's where there's a history there. That's why there's an excitement, because there's a history of not having pockets. Okay. So it's not just like this inherent thing of we were born with this love of pockets. No, it's gone through a lifetime of not having those things. Like, one day women won't care at all when they put their hands in their pockets in a dress, because they'll be accustomed to it. That'll be something that they live through, right? These young, like my niece or something. Like, we've always had pockets. No, we didn't always have pockets. So, not a woman thing. Number 4 was always going to the bathroom in a pack. I don't do that. I don't think I ever did that. There's plenty of women who did that as young girls, who I saw reply to this and say that they don't do that now as older women. Yeah, I never did that. Even like having a lot of sisters and stuff, was never like, oh, come with me to the bathroom. It wasn't a thing. That's not and Violet said always, so that was an exaggeration. Maybe Violet didn't know that was an exaggeration, but not true. There's plenty of women who do not go in the bathroom in packs. They just go there, do their business, and they come back to the table or whatever. Number 5, playing as a female video game character and kicking butt. So this one's really crazy to me, because Men obviously like to play as females in video games. Someone did leave me a comment on TikTok, and they're like, nah, I don't like playing with as females. And I said, well, my brother always plays as Samus when we play Smash Brothers. And he's like, but does he play in the suit or out of the suit? Because he said if it's in the suit, it doesn't count. I think it still counts, but the answer was he plays the version that's always in the suit. But men obviously like to play with female characters, and so I had quite a few guys that replied and said that they like playing with female characters. Some of them just like to look at them, and if they're going to be staring at a butt for all these hours, it might as be one that they enjoy looking at. I guess this was their thing. But a lot of men like to play, like if you're playing a fighting game or something, female characters are fast, and their agility, their moveset, it's just sleeker than a lot of these big other guy characters, especially these bigger hulkish kind of ones. So I like playing with female characters, not because I'm like girl power, but just because they move differently. If I had a fighting game, I would probably make one with all female characters. But it's mostly guys who play video games. So if guys didn't like them, they just wouldn't be in games. They just wouldn't be in games. It's a huge industry, but it's guys who are... I'm not saying there aren't girls who play video games, because I obviously play video games. My sister loves playing video games and stuff. Grew up playing video games and stuff. But I'm not, like, I wouldn't call myself a gamer. There's a lot of games I haven't played, and I just don't have the time to invest like that in it. But guys like, is this designed for ladies? Do you think... as time went on, they eventually did the revamp, and she's a bit more clothed or whatever. So, but do you guys think that design for Tomb Raider here was for the ladies in mind, to be sensitive for their girl power kick butt needs, or do you think that there were other reasons that she has boobs, like big boobs and stuff that are exposed? Like I think there's a reason. Or let me show, like, have you ever played more, this is a Capcom character. I've never played with this character in a Capcom game, but I have seen this character in Marvel vs. Capcom. And I did play with Morgan, because I liked her movesets, and I liked how she moved and how she flowed throughout the game. And I liked her, some of her powers and stuff. But I don't think this was designed with me in mind. I don't think this was designed for females to be like, girl power. I don't think it was designed for females. I think this was designed for men. And maybe you think I'm crazy, but I'm pretty sure this was designed for men. Right? So, using video games, that's not good. That's not a good example of what is a woman, because female video game characters could kick butt. Like, men like to play, I promise you, men like to play as female characters from time to time. I promise you. I promise you. Number 6 was pulling a woman's hair back and clasping their bra. Now, that was creepy. A lot of people were noting how that was creepy. That you wouldn't normally maybe ask a stranger to do that, just period. I definitely wouldn't ask Violet here to do that for me. Clasping my bra? My bra? Like, I could do that myself. I do that myself. Why would I ask you to pull back my hair? Oh. And then unclasp my bra? Why would I do that? Why would I do that? Why would I do that? You might, and a woman might ask a boyfriend to, or not your boyfriend, be married, y'all, your husband or somebody to do that at the end of the night. But usually, like if you're just going straight into, sexy time or something. But usually, like, women, they unclasp their own bras. So that was a weird one. I'm going to show a reply video that Violet did, and they're going to mention, like, people call me a pervert. That's probably because of that section. It's probably because of that section. Number 7 was never being afraid to use emojis, especially pink ones. I usually use a side-eye emoji, or the eyebrow raised emoji. A lot of people use emojis. That one's silly. And I don't really use pink ones. I only use like a blow kiss one if I'm being condescending or something. Number 8 was knowing how to tie a tie so your date looks great. I have never done that. I'm pretty sure I could figure it out, but probably gonna go to YouTube first. I don't know how to do that. But do you know who knows how to tie ties? Men. Men definitely know how to tie ties, so I don't know why that would be included in being a woman, right? Now, I'm not saying women don't know how to tie ties. They definitely do. They know how to tie their husband ties and their son's ties, etc. I just, have not needed to do that. So I don't know that skill. Number 9 was razor bumps on your arms and your legs and on your stomach and on your face. And there are women who, grow hair on their face. And I think the preferred method is probably for people to wax if they do it on their face. But there are women who have to shave their faces and stuff. I don't think a lot of women shave their arms. I don't think that's the case. But Violet's deal with shaving isn't going to be the same as like a majority of women's deal with shaving. Interesting, didn't say armpits. That's definitely like something that most women or people do shave. Weird fact, I have my hair follicles on my legs. They're like, they haven't bursted through, so I don't have to shave my legs, and I haven't since I was like, I think I did it once when I was maybe like 12 or something. I kind of didn't do a very good job, and I kind of cut myself, but that was like the only time I've had to do it. I didn't need to do it then. I guess I was just kind of trying it out, and so I don't need to shave my legs at all either. So yeah, we're not relating there too much either. There is actually a condition. I just learned that there was an actual condition, what it's called, but I don't remember what it is. Taking off your shoes halfway through the night. That's number 10. I guess that's because of high-heeled shoes. And I wouldn't be taking off. Where are we going? Like, to be taking off shoes like that the only time I was like out in public and eventually took off my shoes, I mentioned I was at the Trump inauguration, and my feet hurt so bad. I don't make a habit out of doing that, and I don't think people should make a habit out of doing that. And my sister above me, Katrina, she would not do that, but my feet, I don't remember if any of my other sisters did it, but my feet hurt so bad. And like I said, I had blisters all on my toes. So and I didn't have a boyfriend to like carry me. Not that I think my boyfriend, if I had one, could have carried me a far distance. Like, but there were some guys who were like carrying their girls and stuff out because their feet were like, they hurt so much too. Because you had to stand and you had to go around the block or whatever for security to get inside the building, and then inside there were no seats at all, period, besides like the handicap section. So the only time I got a chance to sit down was when I went to the bathroom for half a second. I didn't even need to pee. I went in the bathroom just to sit down, some toilet paper on the toilet and stuff, and I was just like, I gotta sit down because my toes hurt so bad. But yeah, just wear comfortable shoes. Like sometimes you go for the cute ones and stuff, but you switch out your shoes, I guess. But like, I'm not walking around with no shoes off. But maybe there's a relation there, but not. A lot of women don't like to get dressed up like that, and they will take the comfortable route. They don't like to wear dresses. I shared an office with somebody, and they didn't like they hated dresses. They were always in like dress, like suits and stuff like that, and so the take off your shoes in the middle of the night because you chose to be fashionable or wear the high-heeled shoes over being comfortable, that's not the experience of all women either. The next one was creating works of art on the nails and eyelids. A lot of women aren't into makeup. I don't really like putting it on, etc. Blah blah blah. I know people really like the red lip and stuff. I don't spend a lot of time on it. My nails, I'll go get them done every now and then, and my nails are natural. you know, but I don't I don't bother to really take the time with it. I'm not saying I never will, but a lot of women don't care about that. Now there are women who spend a lot of money on their nails and stuff and doing a bunch of crazy funky stuff to them, or people will do it themselves. But again, that's a stereotype. All of these things that are mentioned are like aesthetic, stereotypical things. Some don't make sense, like the video game thing didn't make sense, but the last thing is dropping everything to help a woman crying in public. And I think this one is, not all women would do that. I think it's a little too generous of women, and I think it's not generous enough for men. You don't think if a man saw like a woman just like crying to herself or something in the middle of the street or something, that they wouldn't be like, what's going on? Not all men would do that, but not all women would do that. Like most human beings, like if you were really distressed, I think that they'd want to help you in some kind of way. And there's plenty of people who wouldn't, but there's plenty of people who would. So just like, oh, that's a woman thing. There's that empathy. Not everybody's gonna do that. Not everybody's gonna do that. So, and the last thing, like those are all the points again. And then Violet said the thing about the tuck. So I'm gonna go back to that part again.
Woman. And while I didn't have my first period in middle school, you don't have to fold your genitals up and put them inside yourself every day. We all have different experiences of what womanhood is, and it doesn't make any of us any less valid. So stop pretending that trans women don't understand what it's like to be real women. We all go through triumphs and tribulations as women every single day, and tearing each other down is just going to make it harder for all of us in the long run.
So the folding up the genitals and stuff. So most of there's a lot of comments on the video that I did, the short, replying to this, pointing out that Violet here is comparing tucking in his junk, which obviously he has to do because he has junk and we don't. Comparing that to our menstrual cycle is just absurd. And like, oh, I didn't get a period in middle school. No, you didn't. But that's not the end of the story. The period in middle school. And it was then like 11, I think, as maybe when I got mine, maybe 12. But and there was excitement there at first because like, oh, you're a woman, and I remember shouting like, I'm on my period, and my brother was just like, I didn't need to know that. Poor guy. He's the only boy out of 6 girls, 1 boy. But I thought about another funny story, but I'm probably not gonna tell it. So yeah. That was exciting maybe the first time, but then you're like, oh, this actually really hurts and this is uncomfortable. And I never got like super like emotional, like crying and stuff, but I'd be more irritated than normal. And it was rough, like having to plan your life around this thing. Like, oh, you're going on vacation and you want to go to the pool, and it's like, I went to Vegas with my sisters and stuff. Now, the pool didn't end up being open, but I'm like, dagnammit, you know? There's so much that you have to plan around your life with your period, with your menstrual cycle. So just limiting down to like, oh, but I have to tuck my stuff. Like, totally minimizing it is crazy. And again, Violet decided to use all these aesthetic, stereotypical things of women to say this is what women are, and then minimizing the biology. And women are what we are. It's not who we are, it's what we are. Who we are, like, I'm a podcaster, I'm a writer, I'm a daughter, you know, I'm a sister, I'm a singer. I do all those make up like who I am. But what I am is a woman, and I didn't have a say in that. There's no virtue in it or anything. It's just the facts. And I've been living with that reality, you know, for my whole life, and for more than half of it, I've had to deal with like the pain of it as well. And so I even haven't even had to deal with like pregnancy or the fear of like, you know, mortality if something goes wrong within like having that baby. Like, are you gonna make it? And when as you get older and I'm a bigger person, like people like. So some people are like, oh, you better slim down because you don't want to increase those chances of something going wrong when you do actually have that baby. Those aren't things that Violet has to think about. So it's amazing to me that we want to include these stereotypes, but we don't want to. We just want to totally throw out the things that are biological, because they can't compete. They can't keep up with it. They know they're disqualified automatically, and they don't want to be. But womanhood isn't putting on a dress and being excited because there's pockets. It's not playing female video game with characters. It's not having a hair tie around your wrist. It's not wearing uncomfortable shoes. That's not what it means to be a woman. You can't just be a woman. You just are. You just are. So I'm gonna go ahead and play his reply video. Well, he'll explain it or whatever. But he did do like a reply after he went, viral and stuff. So I'm gonna just go ahead and show that.
This got posted on a conservative social media account, and I have been loving all of the attention it's gotten me. For the past 48 hours, I've had hundreds, if not thousands, of people telling me that I'm not a woman, that I'm a man, that I'm a pervert, and my personal favorite, death threats. I've gotten so many death threats. I'm not gonna lie, for a minute it was really upsetting me. So yesterday I decided to make a video addressing the conservatives head on. I did a thorough analysis of all the stuff they were saying about me and then made a thorough list of reasons as to why they were wrong. I filmed and edited the whole thing, and then I was on the subway on my way to my friend's birthday party about to post the video when I had a massive panic attack. Because I realized if I address all the mean things they're saying about me, it's just gonna add fuel to the fire and they're gonna come back at me even harder, which is not fun. So I did not post the video. I calmed down from my panic attack, went to my friend's birthday party, had a great time, came home, went to bed, had a wonderful day in the park today, and now we're here sitting on the floor together. And all I have to say to all of the people who've been trying so hard to ruin my life for the past few days is that you can't. I am the happiest I have ever been in my entire life right now because I am being myself. And try as you might with your little conservative rhetoric and your pixelated little faces and your awful words, you can't take that away from me. Nice try though.
So I guess I'm curious what would have been said to debunk. I'm assuming that this is the video that we're replying to, that is the video that Violet's talking about here. But so there's nothing that he could say to disprove the conservatives. But I love the fact that he's saying it's conservatives, when I guarantee you I have most of my following is conservative on YouTube, but I have a lot of people who are following me now who are not, I promise you, are not conservative, and they're following me because of this particular issue. They found my videos on this topic and they insta-followed. They insta-followed, and they maybe aren't watching my lives, but they like my shorts because a lot of them have to deal with this topic as of late, and they're not conservative. There's plenty of women I said someone called me a TERF and I said I'm not a TERF, and people got mad because I'm like, I'm not a feminist, and so there's plenty of feminists that follow me, I suppose, or a good chunk, a good number, because of this issue. So saying that all the conservative, I don't doubt there was a conservative site that posted the video that helped eyeballs connect to Violet here, but this is not a solely conservative thing where people are saying stop appropriating woman, stop doing the woman face, you're not a woman, and definitely stop doing this thing where you minimize our biology to make womanhood like a costume that you can just wear because you grew out your hair and you like to wear feminine clothing and stuff. That doesn't make you qualified in this category. So to compare tucking your dangleberries to a period is just wild. It's just wild. Our bodies are always trying to get pregnant. There's a lot of women who don't want to be. There's women who wish they could be, but can't, aren't going to ever be, and that's a huge wound for a lot of women. Wish they use that to try to claim themselves territory, which is really disgusting. But when we don't get pregnant, because our uterine lining builds up, and if we're not pregnant, then it sheds, and that's why we menstruate. And like when I first saw his video, and I'm like, I gotta reply to this, because I was in Friday night. What's Friday night? No, it was Saturday night. We went over to my mom's house to have my sister cook chicken tacos, really good chicken tacos. And we watched, I was working on some stuff. And my sister, put on a movie. And then I'm like, you can watch another one if you want, because I'm still just working on my computer. And then I had to put my computer down because I was really, really cramping. And I went and I got some Aleve or Advil, whatever. And I'm just rocking on my mother's couch. I'm just rocking because I'm ready to go home, but I hurt so bad. I'm just rocking on my mom's couch. And my mom comes over and she gives me a heating pad, and I just, I'm cradling the heating pad while I'm rocking on the couch, waiting to not feel so bad. And then I fall asleep. I just fall asleep. And then I woke up and my sister made breakfast. So that's a reality for a lot of women. And not all of us have, really the same, severity. Not all of us cramp in that kind of way. Some of us are more emotional than others when we come on. Some of us get really sick. I used to never vomit at all. Sorry if this is TMI. But now I've started to get nauseous and stuff, which really sucks. Basically my whole life I had probably threw up a few times, a handful of times, and last couple periods, nauseous. So that sucks. So, but you can't just throw this out like it's irrelevant when it's played so much of a big part of our lives. So that's why so many women, and not conservative women in general, get so ticked off when they see the Dylan Mulvaney Tampax thing, when they see, when they have all these ads as if, or they say people with periods or whatever, as if it's anything other than a biological phenomenon. So again, you can't just throw away the biological aspects of womanhood and reduce it down to dresses with pockets. You can't do that. So anyway, I'm gonna table that. I'm sure there'll be something else like it in the atmosphere in some time in the future. But thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Again, please go to blacktnews.com. Check out my article about cis is a slur. It's got some I did not mince words in that article. So please go ahead and check it out online. Please check out other stuff that I have, other articles on my website. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate. It costs to stream, run my website, all that good stuff. Excuse me. So if you can help with overhead, I really do appreciate it. God bless you if you can. Also, please consider getting my book, Of Course God Is Blatantly Against Abortion. It is actually live right now on Amazon, so you can get it on the paperback, or you can also get it on ebook. So please go ahead and check that out. Tomorrow, I will probably mostly be talking about that particular topic as my book releases. So just heads up. So if there's questions and stuff, I'll probably have a list of things that I want to kind of address, and if there's questions or whatever, I'll address them as they come in, or try to. So I'm very excited. I hope you guys enjoy it. It was a huge labor of love. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I will pop it up on the screen. Give me 1 second. My sister did such a wonderful job with this cover, drawing the hand of God reaching out to this little baby hand. She did such a good job. So I'm very excited. Like I said, a huge labor of love. I started writing it last year. I really wanted it out before the election, but that was too tall of a task. And then I just kept adding and adding and adding. So it covers theology, but it covers biology and philosophy, and why we need moral absolutes, objective morality, why we need to celebrate not just that every human being has intrinsic value, but also that life itself is intrinsically valuable. It covers the societal harms of abortion. People are it doesn't affect you. I reject that. I totally reject that. So I cover that a bit in the book. I do also have an article on that topic as well. Also, I didn't write this to condemn women as well. So it does talk about what people can do to help women, and what Christians should be doing to help women, but also to choose redemption over condemnation. So go ahead and pick it up, guys. Go ahead and pick it up, please. So thank you guys for joining me today, and please visit the website, please pick up the book, please pick up different merch, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.